Attention passionate Philadelphia, EAGLES FANS. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Philadelphia Eagles' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Philadelphia Eagles fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Philadelphia, EAGLES FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying close attention to the Eagles, you know the team is always in motion, constantly trying to tweak and fine-tune their roster to stay competitive and push for that elusive Super Bowl title. And right now, there's some interesting moves that are happening that could have a significant ripple effect on the team's trajectory for the rest of the season. It all started with the Eagles announcing the return of a player who's been gaining a lot of attention lately: defensive tackle Gabe Hall. This move might seem small at first glance, but when you dig into the details, it's a significant step in the Eagles' ongoing efforts to bolster their defensive line and maintain that relentless pressure on opponents. So, on Thursday morning, the Eagles officially announced that they signed Gabe Hall to the practice squad. And if you're wondering, yes, he was just waived earlier in the week, which makes this move even more interesting. It's not uncommon for NFL teams to cycle players through the practice squad, but what makes this notable is Hall's performance during the preseason, where he showed real promise. He finished the preseason with 4 tackles, which isn't a huge number, but it was enough to catch the attention of the coaching staff, especially Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. Fangio, known for his defensive genius, actually praised Hall during training camp for his continuous improvement. He's been a player that Fangio has kept an eye on, appreciating how much he's grown, particularly after spending last year on the practice squad. What's even more intriguing is that Hall got some limited action in the Eagles' recent game against the Dallas Cowboys. He was on the field for 9 snaps in that 24-20 victory. It might seem like a small contribution, but in the NFL, every snap counts, especially when you're trying to develop younger players and find that next key piece to your defense. Hall's return to the practice squad signals that the Eagles see potential in him and want to keep him in the fold as they continue to develop their defensive front. Now, to make room for Hall on the practice squad, the Eagles had to make a tough decision, releasing defensive tackle Jacob Sykes, who had just been signed the day before. Sykes had been bouncing back and forth between the practice squad and the active roster, which is often the case for players trying to find their footing in the league. He finished the preseason with 2 tackles, and while he didn't make a huge splash, his versatility and effort kept him in the mix. The reality is, roster management in the NFL is a balancing act, especially for a team like Philadelphia that's always looking to maximize its depth and flexibility. But this roster shuffle doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's all part of a bigger picture that includes the recent trade for running back Tank Bigsby. That move was a clear indication that Eagles management, led by General Manager Howie Roseman, is not just content with the current roster, but is actively seeking ways to improve, especially in the backfield. Bigsby, with his talent and potential, adds a new dimension to the Eagles' offensive arsenal. However, his arrival came at a bit of a cost, namely, the departure of Will Shipley, who's been dealing with a rib injury. Shipley, who's shown flashes of brilliance, might be out for at least a month, which means the Eagles need to adapt quickly to fill that void. This injury situation has put Howie Roseman to the test. We all know he's a master at roster gymnastics, making moves, trading, signing players, and sometimes even surprising fans with unexpected signings. His goal is to keep the Eagles at full strength, especially with the playoff push looming. The team's recent performances have been promising, but injuries are always a concern. For instance, tight end Dallas Goedert, one of the team's most reliable weapons, didn't practice on Wednesday. He's dealing with a knee sprain, and his status for the upcoming game against the Kansas City Chiefs remains uncertain. That's a big deal because Goedert's presence in the passing game is crucial. He's been one of Jalen Hurts' favorite targets, especially in critical moments, and losing him even temporarily could impact the team's offensive rhythm. And speaking of Hurts, the quarterback has been nothing short of spectacular this season. His leadership, athleticism, and decision-making continue to elevate the Eagles' offense. He's been showcasing a mix of agility and precision, making it tough for defenses to contain him. The chemistry he's built with wide receivers and tight ends like Dallas Goedert is evident, and that connection is something the Eagles will want to protect as much as possible. The team's offensive line has also been solid, giving Hurts the time he needs to make plays, which is vital given the challenges they face with injuries and roster moves. But back to the roster moves. What's really interesting is how flexible Howie Roseman has been, constantly adjusting to new developments. The addition of Gabe Hall to the practice squad signals that the Eagles are always looking for that extra spark on defense, especially along the line, where pressure and run stopping are so critical. Hall's potential to develop into a more prominent role, should he continue to improve, could be a game changer, especially in high-stakes matchups down the line. His familiarity with the team from last year's practice squad, combined with Fangio's praise, suggests he's a player to keep an eye on. Now, let's not forget that the Eagles are currently sitting in a very competitive NFC East. The division has always been one of the toughest in the league, with teams that are gritty and battle-hardened. The Cowboys, their recent opponents, are a formidable team, and beating them in that close 24-20 game was huge for confidence. It also showed that the Eagles are capable of winning tight contests, which is often what separates playoff-bound teams from the rest. But the NFC East isn't just about beating the Cowboys. Teams like the Giants and Commanders are always lurking, ready to pounce if the Eagles falter. That's why every roster move, every injury update, and every strategic decision matters so much. Philadelphia has been building a solid team, with a blend of youth and experience, and they're constantly looking for ways to elevate their game. And that brings us to the broader picture. This season is shaping up to be a roller coaster, with the Eagles aiming for that second Super Bowl appearance in a few years. The team's core, led by Jalen Hurts, has shown resilience and growth, especially after last season's playoff run. The coaching staff, under the leadership of head coach Nick Sirianni, is doing a fantastic job of keeping the team motivated and focused. Sirianni's offensive schemes continue to evolve, making it difficult for defenses to predict what's coming next, and his emphasis on team chemistry and resilience is evident in every game. Looking ahead, the injury to Dallas Goedert is a concern, but the Eagles have shown they can adapt. The depth they've built across the roster, combined with the strategic moves by Howie Roseman, means they're prepared for these kinds of setbacks. Still, every game is a new challenge, and they'll need to stay sharp against the Chiefs, who are always a tough opponent, especially with Patrick Mahomes leading their offense. The Chiefs' dynamic plays and potent passing attack will test the Eagles' defense, and the team's ability to adapt on the fly will be crucial. Meanwhile, fans are buzzing about what's next. Will the Eagles make more moves before the trade deadline? Could we see more surprises, maybe even a veteran addition or a younger player stepping up? The coaching staff and management have proven they're always thinking ahead, planning for both the short-term and long-term success. Chemistry within the team is strong, and with players like Jalen Hurts continuing to develop and lead on the field, the team looks poised to make a serious playoff push. The fans are energized, and the atmosphere around Lincoln Financial Field is electric, knowing that every game counts and that this team has the talent and resilience to go deep. So, as we watch the Eagles navigate this critical stretch of the season, it's clear that every move, every injury update, and every game plan detail matters. They're in a battle not just against their opponents, but also against the clock and the injuries that inevitably come with such a high-intensity sport. The coaching staff's ability to adapt and the players' grit and determination will ultimately decide how far they go. And one thing is for sure, Philadelphia Eagles fans, you should be proud of how far this team has come and excited about what's still to come. The passion runs deep, and the team's spirit is unbreakable. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Philadelphia Eagles news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Looking ahead, the Eagles are not just trying to make the playoffs. They want to dominate and contend for their second Super Bowl in just a few years. The journey is never easy, especially in a division as tough as the NFC East, where every team is fighting tooth and nail for supremacy. But with the talent they have, the strategic moves they're making, and the resilience they're showing, Philadelphia is positioning itself as a true contender. The upcoming games will be critical, especially with the game against the Chiefs looming, and every injury update, every roster adjustment, will play a role in that quest for glory. And now, Philadelphia Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these moves? Do you think the team is heading in the right direction? Are you excited about Gabe Hall's potential? And what do you think about Dallas Goedert's injury? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Philadelphia Eagles. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Philadelphia Eagles news. Keep the passion alive, and let's keep rooting for the Birds all the way to that Super Bowl.